Okay, paddlemate installation. So I've used this Epic twist for some time now. I was thinking about changing the shaft, but I like it the way it is. I'm going to do it. So I'm ready to switch the power meter from my old mid wing to this paddle. So I got this tape on there. It's kind of a last chance thing. If it, in our kind of racing, it gets beat up pretty good. So if the glue were to come loose, I want the tape to not lose the instrument. So we'll get this off of here. The other one. This mid wing is a great paddle, but it's not what I'm going to use anymore. Now this is put on with this 454 super glue. They specify that exactly. Don't use anything else, so fine with me. Follow directions. So this thing, you can kind of break it off of here. Done it before. You hear the cracking, and go the other way. Just takes quite a bit of force, but don't go overboard. There we go. We got it off. Got that one off. And now we'll get this one. And that one came off a little easier. All right. So we got that off. Now we got to sand this, that glue's still on there on that side. We got to get this sanded down, sanded off and roughed up real good. I think I've changed this power meter out to I don't know how many different paddles at this point. So it can be done. And this one. So the first few times I was worried, sick about getting every last bit of glue off of here. You just don't have to. Just get it sanded down. All right, let's wipe it clean. A little alcohol. So it kind of helps if you wipe it one way. You don't want to wipe it one way and then rub the stuff back in the other way. Now we use the back side, which will be clean. And there we go.
Good morning.
So we'll get this one. We've got a dirty cloth here. We'll get most of it off. Then we'll get a clean cloth and get the rest of it. All right, now we'll get us a clean one and finish it up. And since we got a clean one, go one more time on this one. those are done. Set them to the side. All right, so got my old measurements here. New paddle, here we go. So my grip is 24 5/8. So my grip is 24 5/8, right? So we got to center this up and make sure. So okay, let me back up. This is a 205 to 215 paddle. I paddle with it at 205 all the time, right here. But I gotta, you know, if I go practice with somebody in a 6-man boat, I'll probably have to lengthen it out, and I need the sensors to be set up for its longest. If I set it up at its narrowest at 24.5 and I go out wide, then the sensors might be in the way of my grip. So set it up wide. And we got our pencil here, so okay, so let's measure. We got 46 1/8. I guess we ought to write that down. 46 1/8. Got my trusty dusty construction calculator. .46 inches and 1/8 minus 24 inches and 5/8. It's 21 1/2 divided by 2. 10 3/4. All right. So my grip is 10 3/4 from the blade. Ten 3/4 and 10 3/4. All right, that's my grip. So I grip it here like this, and we want the sensor out of the way. There's no particular way it goes. I mean, there's a way it goes, but we want it out of the way. Want it out of the way, so maybe about there. Yeah, maybe about there. We'll just mark one side and just measure it. We'll go 13 1/2. How about that? Just to make it easy. 13 1/2. Right there. And $13 1/2. All right, got it marked. So that's where they're going to go. I don't know. Gotta be a little different. So we line that up there. And just relatively in the vicinity there. I think we will score this up just a little bit. I don't want it stuck on there for life, you know. Oops, I almost put it in the wrong spot, didn't I? That's my grip. And get this one. Like I say, I don't want a whole lot on there. Alright, okay, I got the box out just to confirm, you know, once you glue these things, they really need to be correct. I won't have to do it over. So, got the orientation correct, the dull side, the wire side goes towards the middle of the paddle and the dull side goes to the blade. Alright. And you just kind of got to look at it and make your best guess. So, I'm going to take this little booger, get our 454 glue. Alright, we got that. Put this back on there. Alright. That's towards the blade, this towards the inside. And we're going to line it up. Felt good. Good press. Let's hold it down for a minute at least. Push on it nice and firm. Alright, got that. Alright, now the other side. Let's get him over here. Just like that. And that back on there. There's some more left in there. And we'll hold him for a minute. $21.45. and 22.45. So they're still a little fragile, so I go kind of easy on them. Okay, so we put the sensors on here with it out at 215, so they wouldn't be in the way. You know, when you extend the paddle out, the sensors would go out and they could possibly be in the way of your grip. So we set it up at 215, but I paddle my K1 at 205. So we necked it back down to 205, and we got to reestablish our grip lines and then calibrate the paddle at that length, because that's where we're going to use it. And we are at 42 1/8. Check it one more time. 42 3/16. All right, 42 3/16. 42 inches, 3/16 minus 24 5/8 inches equals, divided by 2, 8 13/16. All right, let's do this. Neck this down a little bit. 8 13/16 right there. And 8 13/16. All right, got that. Put this up. You can see the grip difference from right here to right here. You know, that's at 215 and that's at 205. So it definitely matters. So we set our stands up, we'll get it set just right on there. And now for the fun part, you gotta have eight different hands for this. And I got 2. So we go to device calibration, turn the pod on, insert. We've done that. Please select a pod. We're on the right hand, so it would be 909. Alright, it's collecting the data. Hope you can see this on the phone. It'd be good. So that's just with no load on it. Alright, so this is where it gets tricky. This thing is made for, it's made in Hungary. It's made, those guys are the best paddlers on the planet. You know, Balint Kopaz holds the record for the 1,000-meter. Adam Varga's right behind him. So this power meter is made to paddle like 10, 12 miles an hour. And the reason I'm telling you this is because at 40 newtons, it cuts out. You know, they don't paddle that slow. They don't care. That's ultramarathoners, safari racers, we do. So we have to trick it. So I'm going to put in 40 pounds here. And we're going to actually put 20 pounds on it. So it's going to think it's bending much further than it really is. And you got to really hold this thing correctly. This, got to get some leverage on it. Alright. Okay, now we got that. We're on the, let's see, moved a little bit, didn't it? Okay, now. Looks good. Go next. Alright, got to be still. It's calculating how much the paddle's bending with 20 pounds on it. It thinks there's 40 pounds. Okay, 20.9. Alright, got it. This is not that easy to do. Alright, now we're going to flip the paddle around and do the other side. Okay, device calibration. So this is going to be 08. I'm going to do 08. Alright, it's not touching anything. So it's getting its 0 number out of the sensor. Don't breathe. Alright, again, we're going to put in 40 pounds. But we're only going to use 20. So we're going to put this weight on there again. Alright, so we got this. We're going to grab it way back here. It's kind of, you need about 8 hands to do this. Oh, that one moved a lot. Alright, we got it, and hit next. Just hold it steady, don't breathe. $26.1. Alright. Got that. Okay. So we're set up for 205. So let's start training. Okay, I hope you can see this. So we're going to just take the paddle and bend it. Yeah, look at there. 47 newtons, 55. I hope you can see the phone. Right? That's the right side. Let's do the left side. 40 newtons. $68. Okay, it is working. So we get newtons and heart rate and the whole deal, speed, the whole thing. And that's the power meter on the paddle. And it's these are set far enough inside to allow for the widest, the longest I'll have the paddle. I'll move it in. There'll be even more out of the way, so that'll work. Okay, let's make sure the watch works. So, go to paddlemate, and we got to load up the things. Sport type kayak, device settings. Pods, left pod 908, right pod 909. That's all set right. Okay, let's try it. Get it started. I don't know if you can see this one. And let's see here. There it is. We've got newtons, we got stroke rate, left newtons, right newtons, heart rate, speed, distance per stroke, the whole thing. And we'll move it to this side. Yep. Okay, it is working on the watch and the phone. So as you saw there, I did a couple things not by the book. One was I used 20 pounds and I entered 40 pounds into the app. So what's going on there is this thing comes from Hungary. You know, Hungary is a flat water paddling. That's their Super Bowl. That's their national pastimes, paddling. So this thing is designed for like Balint Kopaz and Adam Varga, and I mean really people that paddle their boats 10, 12 miles an hour. So ultra marathoner doesn't even come close to that. So the software kicks out at 40 newtons, which that's kind of where an ultra marathoner paddles. So I gotta trick it. You know, I gotta enter 20 pounds into the app and actually use, 40 pounds into the app and then actually use 20 pounds. So I've got I shift the scale downwards that way, and it'll work for an ultra marathoner. And also, you know, we do safari paddling, so you know we're banging through log jams and all this stuff, and these things are glued on well. You know, saw it happen. But I just want a little extra insurance. You know, it's I take a little tape and run it right through the middle. It's just regular old electrical tape. Make sure to get it down on those edges right there. And about 2 wraps. So that way, if it does take a hard knock, it'll have some tape still holding it on. And over here, get this one off. Let's do him. All right. And that won't come off. And then when I put the sensors in, I just take a longer piece of tape and wrap that in. Start there, come around, then I go across and back down. So when I go banging through a bunch of brush and it knocks the glue loose on this thing, I want the tape to not lose the sensor. You know? You heard me? And just do one wrap, then I'll go across to the other side. And it's on there. So I can go through some brush. I don't have to worry about this thing coming off. At least it'll be hanging by a shred of tape, and I can come back and re-glue everything and be all right. So that's it. That's the paddlemate installation. It'll give, so when you're paddling, you know, there's no greater measure than how hard are you pulling on the paddle. You know, that's immediate. That's right now. You know, heart rate lags, and plus you're feeling good, you're feeling bad. You know, you add this final metric of how much you're bending the paddle, how hard you're pulling on it, and you've got it. You know, you can pull on it with a 70 newtons and you're going to get the same result every time. You know, you may have a high heart rate one day and a low heart rate the next. It kind of depends on your recovery level. Anyway, it's a great piece of equipment.